say my sisters are difficult to work with. Now, I can tell you from experience, when I was working, that was before I had my company, but when I was working, what I did notice when sisters were around and they were working, I noticed when they came up with their ideas, when they had different ways of, they had other processes, when they suggested certain things to implement in the workplace, what I heard and what I experienced was my sisters were ignored. That's what I used to see. That's what I used to hear. My sisters were ignored. Why you think that? Why you think that my sisters were ignored? Maybe if you go back to a lot of my videos that I put out, maybe you think that they don't have the intellect. Maybe you think that they got too much attitude. Maybe you think that they're just inexperienced. Maybe you could say some of those things, maybe. But a lot of times it just was the fact that we don't want to take your idea. We don't think you're qualified to speak on whatever it is that we're doing in this work situation. So then what happens is my sisters start to realize, well, okay, I don't have any real worth here. And then the misinterpretation comes about where you start thinking that, oh, they're difficult to work with. They're difficult to work with, but you didn't realize that what you were doing was you were discrediting them. You were taking away their confidence. You were taking away their opportunities. And so their response was acting accordingly where, okay, well, if I don't necessarily have a purpose here, then I'm just going to do my job. I'm just going to work. I don't have any worth. You know, with a job, certain situations to maybe improve efficiency, maybe a good thing to listen to some folks. Doesn't mean that you have to implement it. Doesn't mean that it makes sense. But sometimes some of those things did make sense. Sometimes you missed out because of your preconception of what you thought that this sister was unable to bring to the table. Because of all the things that in my past videos you thought was the deal with my sisters. And I've always told you that my sisters are sharp. You just haven't been around them. They can run laps around folks. They know their stuff. They're not stupid. And then what they do is they have to then take their talents elsewhere. And then all of a sudden they excel in some of these other areas or some of these other opportunities that are afforded to them. They excel. And then you thought that that was a fluke. Or you thought that they just got lucky. Nah, they knew it all along. You just didn't see it. No, not that you didn't see it. You didn't want to see it. You didn't want to offer those opportunities. Again, my sisters are going to act accordingly. Now, are you going to have some ones that are just where you can't work with them? Just going to be ignorant to the fact they don't want to get along, or they've got their own, issues as far as how they handle, work environments? Yeah, you're going to have that just like everybody else. You're going to have that like everybody else. But a lot of sisters are trying to improve the jobs. They're trying to work more efficiently at the jobs. They have things that maybe they can contribute to the jobs. They do have an intellect. They do understand certain things because they tend to have education behind them. But for some reason or another, folks think my sisters they just don't got it. They just don't have it. It's just, for them in particular, they just don't have it. It is not in their DNA. That's why you hear the dumb stuff of the low IQ and all this other stuff. My sisters just don't have it. But when they run in those fields and they run laps over those folks in the medical profession, they can run laps in the law profession, they can run laps over folks that are in the financial arena. They can run laps in the teaching profession. There's so many different professions that my sisters offer. Case in point, teaching profession, just the one thing that just popped in my head. I don't know if you all remember, I think it was during, I don't know if it was during COVID. I can't remember. It was some years ago. It was not that many years ago, maybe a few years ago or something like that. And I remember watching this teacher set up the classroom and set up her class to go on an imaginary trip on a cruise or something like that, and had them create their passports, and she set up the whole environment to be this experience of these kids going on a cruise. I never saw that before in some of these other cultures. I never experienced. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing that, because this was a news story, because it was so unique. It was so creative. It gave these kids a different type of experience, a different learning experience, where they were going and they had to get checked in, and they kind of had to have bags and all this other stuff. Incredible. Who would have thought? Who would have thought a sister would have been able to bring something unique to the classroom? Anyway, that's just a little piece that I wanted to say about that. My sisters are difficult to work with. Okay, go work with them. I'm going to catch you on the next note. Peace out.